Hey, what's up everybody? So I recently bought one of these guys right here. And there's a lot to know about these things. I didn't think it was that complicated, but I did a ton of research. And there's a lot of myths out there and a lot of disinformation about buying a safe. So in this video, I want to go over some of the things I learned and some of the things that you need to know that I feel the marketing of a lot of these companies has got everybody looking left and they're going right. And you don't think about some of these things until you've had one for a while. And I live on the west side of town, and if it wiggles and not bolted down or welded to the floor, it's gone. Is that what you're going to tell them when they come for it?
Come at me. Come try to get our safe.
Saying that, and if you've watched a lot of my lock cutting videos and things like that, you realize locking things up isn't necessarily what you think. So that's what I'm going to talk about, and I hope to just kind of make an informative video about safes, floor safes, gun safes, because after seeing all the riots and the looting and a lot of things that were going on, I didn't want that to be my house. And I felt like things were safer locked up. So that's what we're going to talk about. Here we go. See, this is the Liberty Centurion line. It's made in USA. No, I'm not sponsored. This is not a sponsored video. This is just something I bought with my own money. And I thought maybe this will help at least one person. About 6 months ago, when the whole lockdown happened, I was like, you know what? I got a lot of guns floating around. I have a lot of people that come over. I have a lot of kids that come in the house. I need to put everything in one spot. We got to move Javier. Javier's got to be moved. You got room for Chipper. Maybe you can put it above it.
Well, you can't have it uneven.
Sorry, Javier.
We'll move you somewhere else, Javi.
Not necessarily things of value, but things that I wanted to make it harder that, you know, if you did come after, you're going to have to work for it. And I wanted them to work the most possible for the best budget. So I started scouring the internet and I looked all over the place. I looked at Lowe's and Home Depot and gun shops, and I realized it was kind of hard to find a distributor. And being that I didn't know anything, I read all the reviews on all the sites, and some of my buddies had gun safes. I asked them. This all boiled down to about 7 big issues. Were things that I felt like were either glossed over by the marketing of companies, safe companies, or people really didn't know how violent burglaries can be. And if a meth head wants your junk, he's going to beat this thing into a pulvering. He's going to squeeze the juice out of this thing until he's tired. Or you come back to the house, or he goes over your body, or you go over his body. Because in the words of Chaos, I want it to be his longest day and his darkest day when he tries to take this bad boy on. And if it fails, I've failed. Because security is a lot more than just a safe. See, all you're doing with a safe is you're buying time. You're putting money on the ground to make a hard target, stressful, and is cumbersome, and the highest risk of getting caught you possibly can. See, all you're buying is time. That's it, time. You're putting $100 down, you're getting 10 minutes. You put another $100 down, you get another 10 minutes. You put $1,000 down, and you're gonna get more. See, there's different levels of these safes. There's the cheap box brands from China, and they're built very poorly. They're not welded right. You get a cheap lock. One that's usually will wind up failing on you. These electronic locks are pretty good, and mine's been pretty awesome. But I wanted a company that would warranty my lock, because that is going to be the biggest expense you have when you have to call a locksmith and they have to drill this bad boy. So when you go to pick one out, you're going to look and see that the box stores are pretty cheap. You're going to see the stack-ons and the cannons and things like that, $600 and below. You can get an 18, 23 gun safe pretty cheap. And I want you to really think of these things as more as like a storage locker, right? Because the lower end, and I'd say under $1,000, like the entry level safes are going to be like 14 gauge steel, probably very rarely 12 gauge steel. The steel is going to be very thin. And that brings me to my first point, is cutability. Look guys, after seeing a lot of stuff broken, blown into in the Army, look, all the safe companies want to sell you on a door, right? They're saying how strong their door is and from a pry attack. That's garbage, guys, because let me tell you, when you go to break into this safe, you're going to cut the top off of it, or you're going to cut the side of it off, right? And if I go to cut in any safe, I can cut into this one with the same tools as I can cut into the higher up echelon, the 11 gauge steel, the 12 gauge steel. I'm going to take the same circle cutter, the same reciprocating saw, the same metal cutter, and I'm going to go in this thing in about 20 minutes. They make them now that can go in backpacks. Like, literally, it's going to look like this footage right here, and then it's going to look like this picture, and this picture, and hold on, let me show you what they're going to do it with. See, these guys are going to show up with something like this and something like this. Preferably, probably the battery operated one. But if they're this bold, they're going to show up and probably use your own plug. Just saying. See, no matter if it's a bank vault or it's a safe like this, if it doesn't have security around it, if there's not a patrolled perimeter, the big thing about security is by the time you've even gotten to this, if you've gotten to this thing, I have failed. Okay, and I take responsibility for that as a prior gun truck platoon leader, officer in the Army, Ranger handbook, all the stuff they taught us that you secure your position as soon as you come on ground, and your outward perimeter is more important than your inward perimeter, because by the time they got here, it's too late. If you just read the TTPs of the Army, and since this thing was ingrained in my head at officer candidate school and in Iraq and everywhere they made us go, JRTC, this is the Ranger handbook for those of y'all that have never seen one. This is basic security operations, patrols, everything that infantry is. But that's why I say just go outside, walk around your house, look for like weak points and like places where people can hide. If you have a risk of people actually coming here, but by the time you got here, you've already gone past the nosy neighbor mafia, which is probably already knows who you are by the time you get here, or that you look out of place. By the time you hit my yard, because I'm a YouTuber, you have already had a camera on you or a picture on you, and it's sitting right on my phone. Like literally it just dings on my phone and I'm watching you. I can actually even talk to you. And then by the time you get to my door and you get in, either I'm here and you got to deal with me, you got to deal with my other crazy neighbor. Because we live on the west side, everybody is a little on cue for people that are out of place. Then you get in my house and you got to deal with my security system, and you got to deal with my other cameras, and then you got to get here, and by that time I'm probably like either out of commission or you are too. So like there are multiple layers of security on top of a safe, right? And odds are you got maybe a minute on ground for the sheriff's departments here, because they're like right there, and it'll make a good YouTube video. So what I'm saying is you have to have multiple layers of security on things. You got to have, a solid exterior as well as a strong interior, and then you become such a hard target that nobody really wants to spend the effort to get $1,000, like, or whatever this might be worth. It's all serial numbered. It's all, logged, and most of it's got my name all over it. So by the time you get it to the pawn shop, you'll be the dumbest criminal in town. So another thing you'll want to look at is how it locks. I chose the Liberty Centurion because it's got the flat locking pieces of metal. You could call them bolts or whatever, but it's not a bolt anymore. It's more like a flattened bolt, if you want to call it that. It's a piece of metal that just comes out of the door, about 4 inches long, and there's multiple ones coming out where they kind of form like almost like a door in a door, like the bolts do, but I think they're more secure because it actually spreads out, the pressure you're putting on the door. The Liberty ones have a crowned over, I guess you could say, interior, which is the same metal as this up here, but they call it reinforced, and it's pretty sturdy. The only problem with those is they're not up top here, and on the higher end lines, you get the ones up top. Just putting this out there, Liberty, by not doing that, they just cut here and there, and they jimmy the door open, and it'll get it open. Now, cutting and locking bolts, both those ones kind of come together because they form most of the security of these safes. So I've told you what's wrong with it, but there's a way to kind of get around that. And what I learned, and I've thought about deeply about this, is if you want to buy a lower end safe and make it almost as secure as the bigger ones, because they're probably not going to come to the door, and if they do come to the door, they're a professional and you don't have a chance anyways. They're just going to either drill the safe or cut it, and then they're bold, and that it just is what it is. But you can wall these things in. So like probably by the time you watch this video, I've already moved this safe and probably changed out a lot of stuff inside. So FYI, you need to wall these things in. Like if you put this thing in a closet where both sides are secure and the top is hard to get to, or you create a bookshelf or cement blocks this thing, you can make it look good. I mean, it'll even pass with your wife if you do it good enough and make it look good. Just sell it on a bookshelf idea. But you could do concrete like blocks up the side and off the top. You could do 2x6s, 4x4s, 6x6s, to the point where if they've got to switch blades multiple times, they're probably not going to get after it. And that rolls into my next one. It's fireproofing, because where you put it and how you secure this thing is going to help with the fireproofing. I chose a room that's brick wall, concrete slab, brick wall, and this room is all brick except for the roof. This thing has a 30-minute fire rating, I believe. So word to the wise on the fire rating. Most of the time what is insulating these things is just sheetrock. It's basically, they make a metal can and they put sheetrock all the way 3-4 sides, and that's your fire retardant. And this one has a flame seal or whatever you want to call that'll expand. Honestly, if this thing goes through a major house fire in the interior part of the room, your guns are toast. The sheetrock material, especially if it's a Chinese made one with a cheap sheetrock, the chemicals most likely in the sheetrock are going to ruin your rifles, right? And it's going to ruin your guns. It's going to rust them. It's going to like put a noxious gas in this thing to where they're probably toast. Go look up a lot of house fires on the internet. Same way with the firebox safes. Like money burns, I think, a little higher temperature. Correct me down below if I'm wrong, but if you've ever shot a bunch of rounds through a rifle barrel, like at the rifle range, Army guys, military guys, I'm talking to y'all, you know a barrel will warp fairly easy. And when you get these things really hot, 30 minutes, I chose that one because I felt like it was irrelevant. If I have a concrete slab floor, concrete slab or brick on one side, brick at the back, there's only two sides that are going to get hot, and there's not a whole lot of stuff above this ceiling to actually get this thing that hot. And the fire department's less than 5 miles away. Same way with the police station. So I felt like going with 30 minutes, it was a moot point. If I got one with an hour, if it's an hour in, they're just watching my house burn down. And that's what insurance is for. Same way with burglaries. I feel like there's a ratio with how much you spend versus how much you're protecting. Same way with like bike locks. You know, I think they have a 20% rule where if your bike's $1,000, you need a $200 lock. Or if you're $2,000, you need a $400 lock, or you need multiple locks. And that really brings me into my next point. I don't want to be like a total Debbie Downer on the lower end safes. They have their purpose, and here's how, okay? Not necessarily the cheap ones that have fell, but like this is a Centurion, a Liberty Centurion, good lock, built well, they look nice. This one has the flag, the gray and black flag, kind of like the deployment flag. Thought it looked good. But my point is, most of the time when people, and I see it on Facebook Marketplace all the time, when people leave a house, they usually can't take the safe with them because it weighs a ton. This one weighs 400 pounds, and it was a struggle for me and a buddy and a big dolly to get it in here. And one, because I have hardwood floors and it's off ground, so there's a good chance that it'll fall through the floor. And yeah, there's ways to get it across the floor without running the floor. That was time and money that I didn't want to, hire a professional, and I didn't want to go through all that. I wanted to be able to get it in here, and when the time comes, get it out. Because if you move every 7, 8 years, 2 years, 3 years, whatever, I want to be able to take it with me. And being able to take it with me goes me into this point that I had to be able to get it in here, and I want to be able to maybe move it one day. So I wanted a smaller safe. This is a 23 gun safe. It was big enough to move with me and another guy, but yet heavy enough to be kind of a deterrent. And I knew I was going to bolt it down anyway, so the weight was kind of irrelevant. If you can pick the bolts up out of the bottom of this, power to you, bro, because what this thing contains versus the work you're about to do, to pry it up, you could have just gone and got a job and made the money a lot easier and not risk your life. So that point kind of goes with this one, that I would rather have multiple safes than have one giant heavy safe. And when I say multiple safes, even if it's 2 of these right next to each other, 3 of these, have one of these for guns, have another one in a secure location that nobody's going to find, with a lot of security, that I might put my precious materials and possessions in that you've got to find. So by the time you got through with this one and you hunted for my other one, and then if you actually found it and got into it, you're going to be tired because there's another one somewhere, because in the Ranger Handbook, 1 is none, 2 is 1, and there's probably another one somewhere, because that's what the Iraqis taught us, that there's always another ID somewhere. So when I go to move, I can just take one of them out at a time, and life's easier, and I'll just install them where I'm going. And I'm going to bolt it down on the floor and probably put it in a closet or wall it in. So it really doesn't matter. So in conclusion, guys, I don't want to make this video too long, that these are great safes. I've used it way more than I thought I would. Actually, buy a bigger one than you think you're going to get. I was going to get the 18 gun safe, and I'm glad I didn't, because now, I kind of put my camera lenses in it, my cameras, like when we have people over, I can grab my stuff, throw it in here. I don't have to worry about anything really being stolen in my house, for the most part, because I'm just going to throw it in here when I leave, and then you got to work to come get it. Same way with my other safes, I'm just going to throw it in there. It makes life a lot easier. Petty cash, petty change, some documents that I don't want to lose in a fire, backup stuff. And I think it's something that everybody really needs. If you have guns and kids, this is just way easier. I can come in here, I can grab it, I can throw it back in there. I can change the code whenever. I can give Samantha the code. And if I'm away and I have to have a friend come get in the safe, for whatever may reason, I can just tell him, he can go in, and I can change the code the next day. I really wanted one with a combination lock, just because I think they're a little more durable and they'll last a lot longer. But with the Liberty warranty, and that's what I was really buying, that this thing has a lifetime warranty and a 5-year on the lock. I wanted that warranty because I didn't want to spend $300 on a locksmith to cut this thing open. And if this thing's ever broken into, Liberty will replace it, and they give a pretty good warranty. That's why I didn't buy with like the stack-ons or the Cannons or anything like that, the Winchesters, because there was so many reviews out there of locks going bad. Do a lot of research on what kind of lock comes on your safe. This thing's got like that Secure RAM, which had really good reviews, and digital technology has gone a lot further than it's come a lot further than what it used to be. But if you don't, just go with the combination lock. The problem is, they're hard to find with combination locks. Like, most places don't carry combination locks anymore. Tractor Supply didn't, Academy didn't, Bass Pro Shop didn't, and I got mine at Mike's Gun Shop, which that's all they carried, and it's actually been really nice. Now, does it take that much longer than just doing the combination? Tomatoes, but you can change the code, which is awesome, and it's really simple to use. Just remember that what you pay for is what you get. I think if you're just doing guns and you just want a closet The cheaper ones are fine. You know, this one was pretty sturdy for $799 what I paid for this one. You know, they have them for $699, I think, at Tractor Supply, but there's a little difference in that one and this one. This one's got some little extra bells and whistles with like a cool pocket, it's extra heat protection and things like that, and the rack on the door, which was really awesome, which allows you to hold way more stuff. But remember, insurance is your friend. Don't put $50,000 worth of cash in this thing and then everybody know you got a safe, because yeah, it's just a bad idea. You know, I wouldn't do that. That's what banks are for. Holes in the ground, safes in special places, multiple hiding spots. Don't ever think that you're putting all your stuff in one of these. If you wall it in, you're going to have a lot more security. If you put it in a closet, more security. Bolt it down. But this thing is really hard, was pretty hard to get in here, even at 400 pounds. The bolting down is the big deal because if they get it on its back, it's a lot easier to pry on and to cut on. So just FYI. But that's about it. I think I emptied my head out of just about all the knowledge I've come up with. I hope this helps. Comment down below if you've got one or what you like or kind of how you solve these problems and if this even helped. But see you guys next time. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I hope everybody survived the hurricane, because that was like our 4th one this year, and there's another one coming. I'll see you guys later.